Hi everyone, and welcome to another Tiny Seeds. So today we are going to talk about a really important thing, but it is so easily overlooked, unfortunately. Okay, let's get Muffin to settle, as per usual, right? Muffin. All right. So neglect, when it happens when we are small, and the smaller, the more influence it's going to have on us, is going to change the way our brain develops. So certain synapses are just not going to grow. So not only the way that our brain develops, but the way that sorry, also the way that we perceive the world. That is what I get for moving the camera. So also the way that we perceive the world. So we're supposed to, when we're born, bond with our parents, bond especially with our mother, and then learn that the world is a safe place. And then we have to get self-belief, and we have to then learn how to separate from our parents. Now, but first we have to bond, and we have to feel like worthy, important people to our primary caregiver, and most important, our mother, or the most motherly figure around us. So if we don't get that very early on, and these brain changes happens, and we don't have this feeling of safety in the world, we have to rebuild this later in life, because if we don't, we've got fairly big repercussions from it. So from neglect, the first thing, and look, I'm just going to go through neglect and just name a few things that happens really easily in somebody's life. So, and neglect is not, sometimes it's on purpose, it's not on purpose, sometimes it's just stupidity or an immature mother, or addiction, coming from a really traumatized circumstances, having a baby too young. It's not on purpose. It's sometimes just circumstantial, but it's not just. It is huge. Now, what happens is, as we grow up, we don't know it's neglect. We see it as is. This is how it is. And we will normalize it. So let's go through a few things. So, like in my case, my mother was married to an alcoholic, and and so on high alert when he gets home. And then she was sick. When I remember, one of my earliest memories is of my grandmother taking care of me, because my mother was not around. She was in hospital, and it was normal. There was no abnormality. I didn't know she's supposed to be around. I'm small, and it was just part. This is just how it is. And then you learn, you see the signals. Mommy is not okay, so I mustn't be troublesome. Or mommy is getting really anxious when dad goes home, and she tells us to be quiet and be good and not, be naughty. And then we learn we need to adjust ourselves in order to not upset somebody else. So I become invisible so I don't aggravate my dad because he's drunk. That's it. But for me, it's normal. It's what I know. It's not anything except what I know. So now my father's alcoholic. Alcohol comes first. I don't quite know who he was, except from what I've seen him do. But as a person, we've never ever had a serious, deep conversation, which is fairly normal for a lot of people. And listen what I'm saying to you, fairly normal. It's the regular thing, but it doesn't need to be our normal. But we experience this, and everybody else experiences, and dad works from home, or dad is just left, he's not in the family anymore, or whatever version of it we experience, or he's not sharing his feelings because he grew up to know men don't show feelings, and he didn't grow up getting feelings. So he's just not, there's no feelings for kids. All kids needs to be quiet and out of the way, or otherwise he's going to lose his temper, or he's going to be very harsh and demanding that you do better, or whatever version it is. But you don't get that personal time. You don't get seen for you. They don't even know who you really are. You've got to fit into the mold. And so that's, again, a fairly normal thing for us, but we normalized it because it doesn't have to be like that. It's just years and years and years of conditioning and of generational trauma. And please remember, a big thing is men were for ages and ages. Men were needed to be soldiers. They needed to go out and be killed. They needed to go out and be cannon fodder. So they didn't need, nobody wanted a man to be touchy-feely. They had to go defend the walls. They had to go defend the city and the children, and they had to go and provide a living. That is how it happened, centuries after centuries after centuries. We have not been built for this century. We have not been programmed for this century. Yet, we have everything in us in order to be connected people. But neglect is just normal. So you're a single mother. You have to work 3 jobs because you didn't have a home, you didn't have a car, but you've got 3 children. And now you have to work these 3 jobs and pay off your rent, and you've got to pay off on your car, and you've got to make a living. So you are working 3 jobs. And it looks like normal, but it is really, there's no space and time for these children. They need to get on with it. And very often the elders have to bring up the younger ones. That is just how it is. Again, for centuries, while this war was going on, the women were working the fields, and the children had to bring each other up. It was just, get on with it. Life is hard. We were not built to have spare time, to have space for emotions. We were definitely built for it, but we were not conditioned for it. So we've got it. Everybody, men, women, everybody has got it inside themselves. Every child that's born, little boy, little girl, it doesn't matter. We still have the same wants and needs to be seen and loved for ourselves. When you get neglected, you have this big hole in your life, and you have a yearning, and so you're going to turn either in a people pleaser or somebody who really gets addicted to people in relationships, because somehow that person for you, that one friend, that one relationship, has to fix everything in you. And you overcommit too fast, and you expect so much loyalty, and you give so much loyalty, and you see that as normal because that is what your upbringing did to you. But now let's get into relationships. And this is why I'm really talking about neglect, because when we have been neglected as children and we have normalized it, here's the problem. Now you get into a relationship, it's all too wonderful, you're in love, and everything is just fantastic, but the neglect starts. And maybe somebody's emotionally unavailable, maybe the guy just wanted you for sex, it doesn't really matter, maybe somebody just wants something pretty on his arm, maybe somebody just wanted a guy to protect her, whatever it is, or maybe you were genuinely in love. But life happens, children comes along, jobs come along, you've got to, pay the bond, and then the neglect starts because you don't know and you have not seen the example of people genuinely putting effort into relationships. And this is not just in our deepest connected love connections, this is also friends and family. So, family, we sort of take each other for granted and we forget that there's still a human being there. But friends, whole other story, our other tribe, our friends, who can so easily, because we are used to neglect, fall into the I'm going to be neglected as a friend trap. But we think so little of ourselves, that we've taken so much blame on ourselves for I have to try harder. But again, through neglect, through the normalizing of neglect as we grow up, we are not even, we may feel hurt if we're not invited along. We may feel we have to work harder if somebody doesn't pitch up and invite us and includes us and make an effort for us. But we're still going to not say, oh, what idiot. How are these people such idiots that they don't take me along? Or what kind of people are they? Or what kind of friends are they? Or how am I standing for this, that people use me, but they don't include me? How is it okay if I am being neglected as a friend? How is it okay? Because I've been neglected, I've normalized it. It's not supposed to be normal. You've never been supposed to be born and neglected. You've never been supposed to be the collateral damage of your mother's problems, your father's problems, their relationship problems, their lack of tools, their generational trauma that they carried on. So please, let's stop this. Let's start becoming aware. You are worthy of more. You are not supposed to be neglected by your friends, by your spouse, by your life mate. You are not supposed to be neglected. You are supposed to be seen and wanted and loved for yourself. And it's not going to happen until you don't understand that you have to see yourself and you have to understand how lovable you are and how much you have to give to the world when you show up and you're just you. That's the hardest part for all of us. Not the neglect we live with, not the people who don't see us. The hardest part for us is to start to see ourselves. All because of initial neglect, accidental, for whatever reason. Sometimes by really, really nice parents. My mother was the nicest person. I was just, it was the circumstances, probably what she preferred over me. Yeah, just collateral damage. But I've never ever seen it like that because I made so many excuses for it. I so understood that being married to my father wasn't easy. For a 6-year-old to be relieved when they get divorced, it's not natural. You want to keep your parents together. I so understood. I was so tired, like her, of all the fights and all the screaming at night and the tension in the house and the fact that alcohol always wins. And this was 6 years old. So you understand, even at that age, you understand. And you make excuses for that parent. But they are still the parent of you. And they are not supposed to have a child that they cannot connect with, bond deeply with, and be there for, even although life just sometimes do these things to us. So we can forgive our parents, we can move on, but we cannot ignore the effect of neglect on ourselves. That we cannot do. It is our duty to ourselves to rewire who we are. And that is possible because when you start doing this inner child work and you are skillfully guided, then your synapses will start firing up and you will build new connections and you will learn not to live from fear and safety precautions, from just surviving, just making do, just settling, but you will start to live not from your limiting beliefs, but you will start to believe in the limitless life that you can have, and then you will start living that life, and you will then start being the real you and celebrating and loving yourself. So it's a process. The resistance to love ourselves is the biggest. And so in order to get there, we normally are going to need some help to actually just help us over the threshold so that we can just get over that little bit of initial resistance and this deep, deep belief that we have to do everything for ourselves, that nobody's ever going to be there for us because we're so used to the neglect. Somebody will be there for you, but you're going to have to change so that you can let them in. So if you want to know more about any kind of inner child work, look beneath the video. You can subscribe to my newsletter. I send about 2 or 3 a week. And there's always something helpful in there. And otherwise, we have many more videos. Check on the playlists for inner child work. Go through the Tiny Seeds videos. And otherwise, if you want to just connect with me, send me a message and we can chat. So thank you so much for watching today. I'm going to ask that you please share. So many people need this. Give us a like, subscribe so that you know when the next one is coming. And until next time, much love. See you soon.